Good afternoon. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Martin.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Still waiting a few more people. Give always 5 minutes for everyone to arrive, and then we'll be starting very shortly. No, we have 15 people today, only 6 have arrived, so I'll give it a bit more time. Hope everyone is doing well today. Charlie, John, Vicky, Tracy.
Yeah, no, it's a good day.
Hello, I have to run and get my food off the fry pan in a second.
That's the best moment to do it before we start. How is the year starting for you, Vicky?
Sorry, what was that?
I was just asking, how is the year starting for you?
Oh, very well, thank you. Yep, very nice. Beautiful day here today.
Where are you located, Vicky?
Dunedin, New Zealand.
Okay. We have a mix of New Zealand and Australian people today, I think.
So it's
Not too
almost
much.
home time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hope I won't, but you work from home from what I can see, so it won't be too much of a drive.
No, I'm actually working from home today. It makes it easier. One of the perks.
Yeah, it's good. Save a lot on traffic. You can spend more time with the family. All right, 9 people. We're going to start soon. Today I do have some obligations, so we'll keep the session within 1 hour. Last week we did an hour and a half. I should be able to cover everything. And if you have any questions after the session, guys, don't hesitate. Send an email or others. During the session as well, you're able to ask questions on the chat or raise your hand. I will stop and answer the questions from time to time, or you can just talk and ask a question when you see relevant. A bit of housekeeping before we start. I'm going to share my screen. You should all have received an invitation to an ASANA instance. Please have a look in your mailbox and see if you can accept the invitation and log into ASANA while I speak. This will enable you to practice what we are doing, because we are trying to make sure that the training is interactive and that you can practice what you're learning. Another thing, I have only one screen today. So for practical reason, I'm not going to be able to see you when I speak and I do a demonstration. So use the chat or the raise hand buttons to be able to talk to me and stop me in the presentation. If there's anything specific you want me to dive into, you can also ask me and I will just stop and dive into that specific subject. Welcome, madam. All right, so first thing, what are we going to cover today? I'm going to juggle between this presentation and an instance of ASANA, which you have been invited to. So the instance of ASANA, we will see some reporting, we see some data with project portfolio, etc. And in this presentation, I will cover the academic knowledge. So if you want the theory. And we'll be through 4 logical steps. So first we do a quick introduction to our companies and especially the agenda of the future meetings. And also after that, we'll be looking at how do we capture the information of related to the reporting, how do we report, and then finally, how do we collaborate on reports so that we can take actions from the findings of our reports and dashboards. If you have any question, feel free to ask or stop me and we'll dive into it. A quick dive into Platinum Partner, our company today. So we are and as a partner, we also make a FormStack, a DocuSign, a Timecamp, and a Salesforce partner. Our role is to help you have low code or no code solution to streamline your business. So if you are interested in knowing more, feel free to contact me after. Mostly around ASANA will provide you with trainings, support for your team. We can also help you with the licenses. But some of those solutions also helps you to enhance your solution. So you have a final solution, for example, a FormStack can help you to do some custom reporting, which we are not covering today, but that's something that could be used for an extension. A bit of, I always have this slide, so for the one who've been in meetings with me before, it's a bit redundant, but essentially a bit of history around ASANA, and to understand where to position it and the value of it today. So ASANA is what we call a work management platform. And as a work management platform, we're going to do 2 things, which is project management and task management. But essentially, if you look at what we had in the past, we started in the 1980s with a project management platform, which were very rigid. They were managed by project managers. And then around the year 2000, 2010, we started having what we call task management systems, which were great because we could collaborate on the job and deliver it together. Today, we're working at work management platforms. A work management platform. One second.
Excuse me, are you going?
In a work management platform, we are looking at, sorry for that, HR. Back. We're looking at task management, but we're also working at the project management. And then we also have what we call workflows, which is not workflows, work stream, which would be a request that we process through a pipeline of work. And the big advantage of ASANA is we can do all that. But if you compare it to a project management system in the past, the big benefit is that we're going to have people reporting on the progress of the project. And we're then going to be able to reflect that update into our own reporting. So I'll dive a bit more into that in a second. But really the idea is that in a work management platform, we actually do the job in the system so that we can then report as a project manager, as a portfolio manager, or as a goal manager on the progress of the team without having to ask people on an update. It's directly into the system. Now, quickly into that, we have a series of events. So we've divided 2 series of training. The one we do today is advanced, but if you have other colleagues who want to join and are less advanced, we also have a schedule for other trainings, which are one-on-one training, which you can see here. We covered already the Beyond the Project. The next one is going to be around notification and sharing. Also, the one that comes after that is about service projects. So that's the one I just mentioned before, having a request and being able to process it through a pipeline of requests. 101 on reports and dashboards, so simply a version of what we're doing today. Customizing my task is really for end users so that they know how to go to my task and to be able to leverage these screens and this functionality to organize their work. And then around workflow and automation later. The second one is the advanced training. We start today with the advanced reporting. We'll be looking early Feb at the AI that everybody talks about at the moment. If you are interested into reporting and AI, there will be a part of the AI meeting that will be around reporting too, because ASANA enables you to comment and to summarize reports as well using AI, which is really practical. So if you're interested into that, that could be a good meeting. We'll be looking at the Microsoft stack and how we can integrate between different Microsoft products with ASANA. We do another one for Google Suite a bit later. And we also look at how we can work on cross-functional projects, so project that involves different teams and how that can be done in ASANA. And then we have a look at our 5 favorite apps for ASANA. That will be end of quarter. So these schedules are going to come every quarter. If you have ideas of new subject that you want to see us covering, please feel free to send us your ideas. Otherwise, we'll come up with what we think is the best for everyone. Well, rules of engagement for today, please participate. There'll be some activities to do. Please go into it and have a try. Nothing too complicated, don't worry, but you need to be logged into the demo instance to be able to do it. Ask questions, and then try and have fun. There's no bad questions, there's no mistake. And anything you touch in the demo instance that we have for today is not going to impact your ASANA, so don't be afraid to break something. There's nothing little there. This instance stays there and it has just some demo information. You can break it, it's no problem. All right, now that we start, when we jump into the ASANA that we have for today, you can do 2 things. The first thing is you can look for the ASANA workshop team here on top. So you find it on the left-hand side into your teams. And then you can use the workshop Q&A projects here to record your questions, and I will be reviewing that from time to time to answer questions if there are some inside it. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that. And in the meantime, before we start having a look at different reporting solution, I'd like to ask you how you are doing today to report on your project. And feel free to use the chat to answer the question, or to raise your voice. But what tools are you using today when you do your reporting? Are you using Excel? Do you have some specific tool you use outside of ASANA, or do you already use ASANA? ChatGPT and Google Docs. Thank you, Vivant. Hi. Philippines. Yep. That is a very, very advanced way to do reporting. ChatGPT and Google Docs. Goals to track progress and project status report. Absolutely, Adam. So we will categorize those as more updates than the reports. Also, I understand that when we report on the when we do an update on the project, on the portfolio, it looks and it seems like a project, a report, but we consider them as an update because they're going to be leveraged in reports after. Excel and Power BI, very good. Thank you, Tracy. That's a very common solution. Many people do that, especially, yeah, both of them actually. Quite good solutions. All right, so when we look at those different solutions that we're using at the moment, they do have some faults. Some of them is that it's difficult to export and then to import the information, and it's possible, but it does take a lot of time. If everyone uses a different tool, then you will have different type of information to export the information to, and then it's a different process and learning for every time you do it. And then you never know it's really up to date. So you do have this update process that you do. Capturing the information is in ASANA, you have to export it one way or another. And then you have to get into the new tool and work into that tool. Everyone has a different tool, so it's a different import system. And in terms of reporting capabilities, it can be cumbersome to set up, whether it is the integration, the import, but also the reporting capabilities. You need to know new skills every time you go to a new systems. Then the design and the reporting functionality can be very different. So you might have like one team reporting with one process and another one with another tool, and they look very different. And a double R here, but it requires maintenance. So when the data structure falls into ASANA, then you will have to, or change into ASANA, you will have to change your reporting structure and your reporting tool. So it requires a lot of maintenance and knowledge, and it can be quite challenging. Now, if we look at how, and I'm going to start with this, it's going to be around how do we structure the information and how are we going to leverage ASANA structure to give us a good reporting structure. And if you remember in our initial discussions, or for the one who have been training before, ASANA has a pyramidal structure where we're going to replicate your organization and the organization of work into a structure we can use for reporting after. So typically on top of your organization, you have your mission statements, which will be, you know, for example, Housing Queensland, we have on the call today, have better housing for all Queensland. For Vivant, for NEP here, it can be to have better energy providing or better green energy providing in Philippines. So you will have your mission statement. That's going to be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and then you will have goals. This organization that people are going to report on. Those goals are connected to portfolios and projects and tasks, so that we can measure how we're progressing towards those goals, which enables us to manage groups of projects, and they can contain different types of projects, and we'll also be able to manage a workload here. And then we have projects, which is where we spend most of our time, and those projects contains tasks. And so on that data level that we have from ASANA, we're going to map at each level a capture of information and reporting capability. Now, if we look at how the information is organized, it's also different when we look at how often it is updated. So if we look at an organization level, we'll do an annual update or a quarterly update on, you know, what are the goals of the organization and the teams. At a project level, it can be done, you know, on a weekly basis. At a task level, that's probably something you do on a daily basis, and the comments will be instant. Now, what are we going to learn today? We're going to have a look at how to create a dashboard, how to create workload reports, how to use advanced search for reporting, and also how we're going to be able to leverage all this reporting and updates to better collaborate together to solve problems. I'll take a break here to see if anyone has any question so far. I hope the rhythm.
No.
Thank you. I hope the rhythm and the level of details is good. If it's a bit too complicated or if I go too fast, let me know and I will adjust. This is the second time we do this training session, so I still have a lot to learn. All right. So when, if you remember at the beginning, we were talking about how ASANA now connects the people who are doing the work to the people who planned it. So we have our project manager, could be us, and we have people who are actually doing the work on the project. And how now with a work management solution, we're able to connect the two so that we limit the work that we need to have to generate reports. So there are different ways people are going to be able to update their work. And by the way, we can be a project manager at some point, a worker at another point, and a portfolio manager at another point. So we can have different roles at different points in time. But there are different moments we're going to be able to update things. We're going to be able to update task status, and generally that's going to be updating, have we or have we not completed a job? Has it been approved or has it been rejected? Update the project status. How is this project? Are we heading towards a big problem, or are we, you know, at risk? Are we on hold? Have we completed the project, etc.? And the same can be updated at the portfolio status. So the big advantage of ASANA is we're going to have different people at these levels, and they're going to update by themselves as they work. And we then don't need to ask people meetings to get a project status update or a task update. And they're not going to have to do an additional work on top of their job to actually do a reporting after. So we should be saving a lot of time and a lot of energy with this. Now I'm going to switch to a demonstration instance of ASANA. I'm going to show you how this actually happens in real. So as I do it, please feel free to create your own project. There is, again, the information we capture in here is not going to impact your everyday work. It's not going to go into your ASANA. It's a different ASANA. So normally with your login, you should see on top here, when you click, you will have different ASANA, and you can see that you are selected the ASANA demo. You're in the ASANA demo, you're in a different environment, you're not breaking anything. If you see the name of your company here, you probably should just switch on the left-hand side here. There will be a switch, and you can switch between different environments. If anyone has a problem accessing, if you have a question, you can ask me here in the chat, and I will stop and help you to sort it out. Now we're here in an ASANA, and we're going to have a look at a project randomly, and we can start by Mr. Alan's important work, which is a portfolio. So we can see that in the portfolio, we do have different projects, and in each project, we're going to have different tasks. And so the very first thing to do is going to be to update those tasks. And that's going to be done by our worker. They are working on an everyday basis. They come here and they will be able to mark the task as complete. Or in the case if the task is, an approval process, they are able to come here and then mark it as approved, request changes, or reject. Now note that when you click any of those three, it will also mark in the system the task as complete. So approve, request changes, or reject is a complete status for ASANA. And now if I have a look at my list view of my project, I'll be able to see all my tasks here and how many are actually completed. You can also complete it from here by checking this little box. Normally, if you click properly, up, here we go. And we can then mark the task as completed. So you have different ways to mark it as complete. And as you can see, when it's dependent from another task that has not yet been completed, and I try to complete it, it's going to warn me because it says that this task was blocked by another task. So typically, I should be able to complete those ones, but not this one until I have completed it, the one that it depends on, and then it unlocks it, and I can start completing the tasks that have been unlocked. Some of those tasks, as you see, have a diamond here, and then that means that there are milestones. We can make the difference in the report between tasks, milestones. We can also have a look at the difference between the sections in which they are, and we'll also be able to filter them by different fields that are attached to it. So all this information we'll be able to capture when you do reporting. However, one thing is very important. If you plan to report on tasks and on custom fields, if you use sections here, it's going to be very difficult to report across projects. So within a project, it will be easy to report between sections. But if you have several projects and you want to report a status that is common, even if the phase have the same name in the different project, it's going to be very difficult to actually report that across projects. So what I would recommend in such cases to have a field that will here capture which phase we're in, and then potentially some automation that says when the task is in that specific section, update the field accordingly. And the reason is simple is when you have a section here, it has a different ID in every of your project, where you actually have a field with a drop down and we make this field part of the library. It's going to be the same field with the same ID across the board.
I have a question.
Yes.
So that's a great idea. So if I create a custom field and call it phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, right? When can I do a workflow that or a process that says if I move something from one phase into the next phase, that it will automatically update that record?
Totally. So very easily you can do it with the board timeline, the workflow that I don't have here for some reason.
That's okay. It was just a question. Need to know how to do it, just that you can do it that way. I was just thinking, because you're right, if you move it and you change it, then you have to remember to change those bits. But if you can build it in that it's already going to happen for you, it would just be, at least it would happen.
Totally. And so I'm going to push a little bit more on your question. You can do here using a rule here, and you will have to actually replicate it when you change the fields, change the section, we change the section, change the field. So it takes a bit of time at the first setup. Then you can have that setup rule included into either a project template, which I see probably everybody here knows how to use. Then something that is less commonly known is the bundles. So bundles can be very powerful for your reporting. For example, you will have a project in a team that is in marketing and a team that is in, I don't know, marketing communication, and another team could be finance. And we want to report on hours. If we don't do anything, we can create a field, effort here. And we can create that field and we can call it effort, and we're going to put, a number, and it will be in hours, for example. And if we make it part of the library, then that's great. People can reuse it across the board, and they will be able to use the same field so we can report on it. But you can come up with several different things that you want to bundle together, which is the name bundle. So you could, in that case, say, well, I want my project to always have the same sections and always have this field and always have those rules attached to it. And so you will create your section, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. You will create your rules when you move to phase 1, update the field, phase 2, phase 1, etc. And then you will save that as a bundle. And what happens is it then becomes available and you can apply that to other projects. And when you apply it to a project, it's going to add the sections, add the automation, and add the field to that project. So it makes it easy to have a common set of data, so fields, but with the section, the rule as well, across 2 different projects. Even if people don't use the same project template, they can then apply just the bundle to it, and it's standardized the fields and the activity that you have around it.
So you would need to first use your template and then apply the bundle to your template.
To the project you have created with a template,
Yep.
yes. Or to a project that doesn't have any template.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think in the case of some of the organizations we work with at the moment, there is a question around how we're going to standardize report across the board so that we can report better to our top management on, what's the effort against the results. And by creating those bundles, you can across the teams have a common measurement of the effort, for example, or the impact, and then make it easy for people to use it everywhere and report on it. But there was a lot. We're in the advanced session, so I'm happy I can do these kind of complicated things. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate. But around tasks, that's really where I would start. You have your start, people update the tasks. You can try it as well. When I'm doing that, you can create bundles. I think I'm not sure because you're on a guest license on this instance. But you can create tasks. You can update the task. When you update the task that is an approval, it will show differently. When it's a milestones, you will be able to make the difference. It will still count as a task, but it's a subtype of a task, a milestone, so you can make the difference. And you can, and I highly suggest you use the combination of field library, and bundle where possible to summarize and to align the different projects into the same setup and the same measurement. You can also, I think, add your bundle to a project template to make it easier as well. So you can apply a bundle to the project template so that when people create a project with a template, they don't have to apply the bundle.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Now, if you remember, we were looking at tasks and the level above was the project. So when we do a project, we are able to now, and I know many of you probably know all that, so I'll go shortly to that, but you can update on your project using this update field here, or you can have access to it here as well on the update status here on the side. Now, when you do that, we're going to say it's on track. We're going to be able to update the project status. And what's really important is we'll update first the project here, its status, but also we can update any of the custom fields that we have selected for this project. So if we've created a priority field, a budget field, in budget, out budget, the type of project, etc., we're going to be able to update not just the status, but the custom field attached to that project. And when we do that, up here, we are able to leverage the highlights on the right-hand side. So again, the information that was inputted by staff or by people doing the job, we're going to be able to report in it. Here, for example, here you see milestones completed and task completed the past 2 weeks. We can drag and drop that, and we can use the information at the lower level to report at the top, at the higher level, if you want. You can also report on the problems and others. But what's important here in that process is we're going to be able to update the information on the project, which we would use for our reporting later. So if we speak about project updates, that is where we're going to be able to do it. Here, priority, status, owner, dates. We can also change the dates of when the project is to be delivered. And any other custom fields that you have created against a project in a portfolio will show up here. Now you may say, well, but if people don't add the project to the portfolio, I won't have the same project fields against projects. You can, on the project template, make sure that every time a project template is used, it adds the project to the same portfolio so that you ensure the same fields are captured again, and you normalize the reporting across projects by using this simple technique of adding the project automatically to a portfolio. Now I pause that update, and what's beautiful is that once I've said that this is on track here, operationally, it's also going to reply here that it's on track, because now the demo template, it has been reported on track. But as you can see here, I am in a portfolio, and we also have reporting potential here. So we are able to go into, we should have a portfolio here, team projects. We have a portfolio here that is inside another portfolio. So this portfolio is within the Alan's important work, and we can report on that portfolio. And at that point, we will also have custom fields. So when a portfolio is within a portfolio, you are also able to have custom fields against a portfolio. And then you can normalize how you're going to report against your portfolio. And again, same thing, we have our highlights here, so we can use that to report on how many projects are on track, off track, to comments, etc. But as part of this process of reporting on the portfolio, we're going to be able to capture some informations, custom information in that portfolio. Right, so we have 3 moments really where we're going to update. And on top of that, I'm not covering it too much today, but on the goals, we have the exact same function. So on the goal here, if I take the goal for the company, I can do an update. And I can again update some custom fields that we have on the portfolio and sorry, on the goals. I can do an update here. We just don't have the little snippets on the goals. That's a shame. I would love to see them. But we're able to do a similar type of update here. That's going to update our goal and custom fields against it.
So I click on goals, I get nothing.
So this is the goal screen.
Yep, I'm clicking on that. It says guests can't view goals, learn why.
So if you are in the demo instance we have today, is because you have a guest license and you're not able to create goals on a guest license.
There you go.
Yeah,
Thank
unfortunately, I'm a bit limited in what I can get you for the practice
That's
because
okay.
you have a guest license there and I can't change that. It's just how it is. But you can create here your different goals, and then you will be able in your organization to report on the goal. Now, for reminders, your goals can be actually attached to the project. So again, if you think about reporting on a goal, you will be able to have your projects attached to a goal. And so as your project progresses, you can see here, project 5 is at 50% of completion of milestones. We have completed 1 on 2, and project 2 here, we're measuring it for milestone as well. And again, we've completed 1 or 2, so we're at 50%. Because we've got 5 projects and we have 50% on 2, we actually completed our milestones, our goal by 20%. So you can use now, if you see the task being completed, in our case, the milestones. I mean, we can decide either we use milestones or we use the task completion. We can use those project completion, the task completion to update the project completion to update our goal completion, on which we're going to report after. It's a bit complicated. I hope everybody's following. If you have any question, feel free to. So I'm going to go back to our presentation. And so we spoke about task status, project status, and portfolio status. We've also covered goal status, so there's nothing in the agenda. Now, how reporting works, as we've mentioned before, we create tasks and we report on project tasks and a portfolio. We do the reporting here, and then we're going to take action. So once we have done all those reports, we're going to be able to take actions, comment, create new tasks, and decide on the conclusion of those reports on what we should be doing to improve the situation or take corrective action. The next step is going to be able to understand how we actually build our report. So in the first step, we understood where the information sits and how we update the information. You can see these updates also include some sorts of report that you can take action on, but a report itself can be created at different levels. So you can have a report on a project. And what we call reports really in ASANA is mostly dashboards. So you can have a report on a project. You can report on portfolios of projects. You can have a specific set of tasks and report on it. And you can report on something across the organization. So if we take a step back and we go back into our project here, we go back into our Alliance Importance work, and we go back to our demo template. we see that as part of each of our projects, we have the ability, and we have included here, a dashboard. Now, for some reason, unfortunately, you cannot template the dashboards as part of your project template, which I personally find very unfortunate. I don't know why it's like that. But you can create a specific dashboard on your project. And all the dashboards that you have across ASANA works within the same interface. So what we learn here is going to work in every other interface with some small differences that I will show you. On your dashboard, you have the ability to add a chart or to modify a chart. And the interface is the same. Here, the very first thing you'll be able to choose is colors and type of charts. I don't really know the difference between a column and a lollipop, but a burn-up chart is actually a very interesting one that if you have not discovered yet, I encourage you to have a look at. Or a line chart or a bar chart, etc. You can then choose the X and the Y axis. And what's interesting is you can then choose your filtering. And what's even more interesting is you can choose your filtering on custom fields. So within a project, if you have custom fields, you can already leverage them to do some reporting. For example, we can group here, and I want to see only the direct mail reporting. Once we've created the dashboards, or the chart for the dashboard is going to be added at the bottom here, and we'll be able to move it around. So it works by square of 4 small items or 1 big one. You can't change the size of it, but you can change how things are displayed. In which case do you want to have a report on a project? Well, one very good use case, yes, Adam, you can filter by overdue tasks. So when we look at tasks here, sorry, I'm just answering the question. When we do filter, we can use task status. And then in task status, you have unscheduled, which don't have a date, overdue, which is the one you wanted, completed, or upcoming. You have this status as well. You can also use the task completion status, say incomplete or complete. It's a bit redundant, but it's a bit the same. So coming back to it, in which case are we going to want to report on a project? Well, especially the case where you use reports for a workflow. So you have, for example, a request. Take the example of production request here. So this is a project where we're going to have an input with a form. I'm going to receive the form, and then it's going to create a request here. And we're then going to follow on the different stage of the request across the board here. Well, we might want to have a dashboard or report created here because we want to monitor that specific project with specific KPIs or specific values that have been created in that specific process. So in such case, reports on projects are very efficient. In other cases, if you have a project that has some specific KPIs or some specific situations, it can be very useful to have it on the project itself. Otherwise, they all come with this standard definition of dashboard on project, which will help you to have something to start with. And as you start your project, to get an overview quickly without making any effort. Now, the second stage is when we have this dashboard on project, there's a new functionality that was released, I think, last release, which is actually to have a dashboard on your portfolio. And now it's going to start to be more interesting because if we start having data on projects that use the standard fields that we've defined, as we've seen earlier in this demonstration, we use those bundles to have standard reporting on fields. We're now going to be able to use those projects in a portfolio to have an overview across the portfolio on how things are going. And in a similar way, we can actually now do some reports and dashboards. But the difference is this time we're going to be able to choose if we report on projects, on tasks, on portfolios. So within your portfolio reporting, you can actually report on the tasks, milestones as well, as you know, we can make the difference. You can also report on the projects. So what are the status of your project? What are the project owners? Which one are late? Which are on time, etc. And you can also do some report on your portfolios. So if you have a portfolio of portfolios, you can start reporting on the status of your portfolio. It starts becoming like a pyramid, which is what it is. But you can then start escalating at a higher level. And if you think about, say, I have the comms and engagement team, say, for example, and I want to report on what's happening in my project, in my team at any point in time, then that's a very good place to start with. Because if you've built your report here and you have your standard fields and you have a line how your projects are built, then you will always have your report up to date. Yeah. Very nice way to actually have a look at this and be able to keep an eye on all your project in a standard way. But now sometimes you're going to have several portfolios and you want to report on all the projects in the portfolios, which you can do from here, but you might want to do more than just reporting on your portfolios. So in your portfolio, when your portfolio doesn't include another portfolio, which is the case here. So if I go to my team projects, which only includes projects, we have another type of reporting, which is called workload. That's no good. Okay, when it does that, up. So the workload management is going to help us to essentially report on the workload across the project in my portfolio. This is not available at a project level. It's only available at a portfolio level. And there's an issue with that project. Data probably is a bit old. So I am going to take us there. Two more clicks. So you are going to report at your portfolio level, but again, you will have two types of now from the project where we only had the dashboard. Now we have two types. We have dashboard, and we also have the workload management system. And in the dashboard, we are able to report on project, task, and other portfolios. The level above is what we call the universal reporting, which is the reporting function here on the top left. And this time we're going to go full blown. You could actually use it for a project if you wanted. It's just going to be a bit more difficult to restrict it to a project. You can use it for reporting on a portfolio as well. You're just going to have to set up the restriction on every of your dashboards to just restrict it to a portfolio. But this is going to go across everything you see. So remember that your report only covers what you have access to. If a team has some information and you're not allowed to see this team information, you're not going to be able to report on it. So just be aware of it. Tracy, I'm just going to mute you because I hear you people.
Right, whatever you can do.
So here we are in the reporting session. We can create a report across the board, and this one's going to be either a dashboard or workload. I'm going to start with the workload because it didn't work last time. And which is quite interesting here is sometimes you have your portfolios and they don't really cover a team. Your team might be working across different portfolios. So in the workload reporting system that you have in the globe or in the universal reporting, you're not going to be restricted by a portfolio. You can just add people. Say, add Martin. So there's a Martin too there. And we're now going to see what Alan and Martin are busy with across the board, not one portfolio, as long as I have access to it again. So they could be working in another team. As long as the team needs me access to that, I can see their workload in the other team. It's very interesting when your team is delivering service internally and they're probably working half-time with you and then like 1 day per week with those people or 5 hours per week with this other team. Now you know where they're working and how they're loaded across the board, and you can adjust the workload as well to use them better if they don't have a lot in the other team, or to not overload them if they're already overloaded. Now, when you do that kind of reporting in workload, what's really important is to use the same effort field across the board. So we come back to the idea at the beginning where we're saying using bundle, using custom fields that are in a library where we all use the same metric to measure the effort in that case. Otherwise, you will have a screen like this one where it just shows you the number of tasks per person. And it's difficult to evaluate how much this person is loaded. It gives you an indication, I guess, but it doesn't really let you know how much they're loaded. So that's one thing. Now, the second thing you can do is you can create a dashboard. You have my dashboard here. It's also going to come with a standard dashboard as usual. You start not from scratch. But now when you create a chart, you have one new option. You don't report just, let's create a chart quickly. You don't report just on tasks, or on projects. You can also report on goals this time. So now you're going to be able to report on goal, their custom fields, their progressions, their owner, their status, all those things within your dashboard. So at that level, you go across the board, any teams, anything you have access to. Remember, if you don't have access to a project or a task, you won't see it in the report. And you go across the board. This will be very good for anyone teams to see where they, oops, that's a comment. So across the board, you will be able to report on that. Different information can be mixed. So your dashboard can have goals, at the same time tasks, at the same time projects. So you could, for example, have a focus on one team, see how their goals are performing, and at the same time see which project is late or in trouble, and then see which person is the most loaded across those projects. This sort of information you can cross-relate so that you have a good view on. Yes, you can filter on goals. Adam, to answer your question, if you have all goals here, you can filter up by team, goals owners, goal status, time period, or sub goals as well. So you can do different filtering here. And if you have custom fields, you can use them as well here. So this is really where you would build your dashboards for your top management typically. Or for you, if you're not top management, but you have like several teams working for you, whatever we call top management, by the way. But if you have several teams working in different portfolio and you want to have an overview, that's a good place to be. Well, in terms of reporting for ASANA, that's really the core of it. We'll have reporting to remind everyone, at a project level is where it starts. You can report on task only and only within this project. And it's not something you're going to be able to replicate in the project template, unfortunately. But it's useful in the case of if you have processes or work stream that you want to, I know Dion in housing had a request around that. So housing, you wanted to have like a request coming in and then managing those requests. So that's a very good way to do that and have a dashboard there. You also have the report at a portfolio level where we're going to start to be able to include project status, and you will be able to import also other portfolio status in your reporting. The advantage that I will use it when I have a portfolio and I have project coming in and out, and I want to keep an eye on that specific portfolio. It's nice, it's very operational in the same screen as where I manage the rest of the items for my portfolio. And in the portfolio, you also have the workload management, which is nice and easy to configure, and which I can use as soon as I use the same field for managing workload and effort across my different projects. And then when we want to go a level above, we can go into the global reporting, which we're seeing here, and then we're going to go across the projects, across the board, no limits, and we can mix up all the information together, always limited to what we see only. There's one last time way to report in ASANA, which is the custom search. So on top here of ASANA, you have the search bar, and you can use it as a normal search function, a Google search function. That works fine. But you can also use it as an advanced search here. And when I use advanced search, I'm going to be able to search on specific criteria, including filters on custom fields that I have created. More here. So I can say, I want to see, for example, all it was Jamie here, James. I want to see all James tasks that are that includes recorded video, attachment, that are of any of this project that are incomplete. I'm having some issues with James. He's not working too much at the moment. I'm not getting the results, and I can search. Now I see all the tasks that he has that are incomplete, and I could also limit it, and redo my search and filter it more here by saying which time frame I want on the incomplete, but I also want only the one that are at the field. For example, let's say I put only the one that are within the past 10 days. So I don't want to see what is too far in the past. I want to see only that. So I can see that. I can here see tasks, messages, projects, portfolios, goals, or task in templates as well. So in a template, you can see tasks that are assigned to him, because in templates, you can pre-assign tasks. Now that is very useful because I can save that search. I can click here and it will be saved and stored into my say results. That will be James tasks, overdue task. Oops. So again, it's very useful in terms of operational monitoring, or not a reporting you're going to send upstairs, but something that you want to put in place because you need to keep an eye on something that's not going right, or something that is of high importance, or for any other reason. You basically save your search here, and then you can come back to it every day, and it will refresh with the latest results. So in the case here, I have James who's not doing his job, but I could also, well, I'm not saying he's not, he's late on stuff, let's say. Or I could have, you know, a project, and I want to see all the tasks that are, say, design, because I have issues with design that things are not working as I want, or any other reason, I can keep an eye on it this way. John just left us. So that's the last type of reporting you can be using, not for reporting upstairs, but to keep an eye on things. It's very useful. Do I have any question at this point? Anyone wants to ask me something? No, no question. So I've got 9 minutes left. I'm going to cover with you how we're going to collaborate on report. And so that's going to be collaborate on updates and collaborate on report. And how can we decide who receives our reports and our updates? So if we go back to our ASANA here, you have the ability to create reports and others. So if I go back to, here we go. Where's Alan's important work? Here we go. And then go to my demo template. In my project here, I have people that have been added. Those people have different access right to the project. They also have different notification. And the notification status here, which is the status update, defines who is going to receive a notification when I post or when I update the status of the project. So if you are unchecked here, you're not going to be notified. If you're checked, you will be notified. And the status update is what I do when I reach this point here and I click one of those items. So that's at the project level. Now at the portfolio level, the same applies. We have here information, and everybody that is actually added to that portfolio will receive a notification when there's an update on the status here. In that case, nobody will be notified. You can also go here and add people that will be notified on that specific portfolio without being part of the portfolio update. So they receive an update, but they're not part of the portfolio. So those are the two. The same on goals. We'll be able on goals to define in a goal who is actually receiving the notification on your update. And when this update comes in on the project or on the portfolio, so if I go back to demo template here, yes, so you can limit to answer Adam, you can limit at the portfolio who gets the notification. If they're not added to the portfolio, you just add people to receive the notification, and the ones that are not added don't receive the notifications. And here, when we are in the portfolio itself, yes, so we post an update on this portfolio, on this project. This update is going to be added to the message functionality here. And we're going to see the update being posted here. We know what the update on the project was, and we can now take action. So our project manager is reporting to us that this project is on track, and he's telling me there's 4 overdue tasks. I say what's the name of the project manager? I think it's myself. Yes, it's Alan. I can even tag myself. You say it's on track, but 4 tasks overdue. Are you sure? And he helped me with it. So we can start interacting with this person. And from here, we have a report, we have some conclusions, we can discuss it. And then we can find the right actions, give some kudos or the action to correct the situation. Very useful. On the report themselves, the portfolios, the report themselves, you don't have this functionality of discussing, but on the portfolio, you have it. So in the Alliance important work, you also will have a message when you do an update on the portfolio, and you can have the same sorts of discussions. And those goes to their inbox as well, so they see it here, and they will see it in their inbox of email as well if they have selected to receive notification by email. So it's a nice way if you want. I think we've bridged the gap between starting at people do their work, they don't have to report somewhere else. It's done here. So we save a lot in capturing information about the report. Obviously, you might want to have a meeting to make sure that everybody's has updated everything or send a reminder before. Then you can do your report internally at the project level, so your updates as a project manager or as a portfolio manager, and then you have those reports on top of that comes generated for all this information that people have inputted just by working, just by doing their job, not an additional place to report stuff. And then finally, when all this is done and you do find issues, you can come in here and you can start taking actions to correct the situation and to get back to the conclusion of what happened during your reporting. Now, one last trick before I let you all go, is 4 minutes. You can see this little stars here. You can use that when it's activated. It's not here, so you need to have the right version of ASANA. You can use it to actually generate content from your report. So you can have ASANA looking at the report that you're getting and then start to write some conclusions on your project. And we covered that into the AI demonstration in 2 weeks, but you can use the AI to analyze your report and start to draft some conclusion out of it. How many tasks are late? Who is late? Who is on time? Who delivers the best? What type of issues are we having on this project? Which projects are having the most issues? Which project manager has the project with the most issues? Which one is successful? These sort of things can be analyzed by the AI and can come back in your project report or your report at the dashboard level or at any other level. Now, one more question. Adam, not sure if we have a full AI experience on our version. And I think that's a discussion you need to have with our friend Angel. There are 2 versions of ASANA Enterprise now, and one has the full AI, one has a less extensive version of the AI. It's something that moves a lot. It's brand new on this AI thing, but there's 2 different versions. We probably need to have a look at which version you have and to activate it fully. But at the moment, I think with your version of ASANA, it's all there. It just needs to be activated. It's when you will renew at the end of the year, you will probably need to see they have changed the licensing. There used to be one enterprise version. Now there is one enterprise version. There's one enterprise version plus that has more AI capabilities.
Interesting.
Thank you, Adam, for the aha moment.
Thank you. They're a very quiet bunch today, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it entertaining, but, guys.
I gotta try to keep you happy, keep you going. No one else is. Come on, guys.
I keep getting muted.
Hi everyone, it's Kath here. Sorry I was late, so I was just catching up. So I think I'll just need to digest everything, but thank you for sharing.
My pleasure, Kath. We will be sending a recording to everybody that registered to the event after.
Excellent.
So we'll go back.
Fantastic. I'll catch up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. I hope it was
Thanks,
useful.
Martin.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Martin.
See you, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Charlie.
See ya.
See ya.